got it for $149,000, under $100 a square foot in 2018. Friends, that wasn't that long ago, but this just shows how quickly the market can change. Hello, welcome to Closing Chapters, Everyday Real Estate Tales. I'm your host, Brittany Fry. I'm a realtor, I'm a military wife, and I'm a mom. Join me and come transaction by transaction throughout my real estate career starting back in 2016 to hear about the highs, the lows, and the unexpected turns along the way through all of my customers. It's going to be a crazy ride, you guys. I am so excited to share the past, the current, and then what's coming in the future. Hang tight for the ride. Join me about being a realtor, a military spouse, and a mom. Can't wait to see you there. Hey, happy Saturday, friends. I am coming to you with another story about a military family. Surprise! If you didn't know already, military families are my niche. This is my specialty. I am a military relocation professional. I have the designation for that, as well as being an active duty military spouse. I live this life. So I am very, very particular about how I take care of my military folks, all of my clients to be honest, but there's an extra level of care and consideration when you are dealing with military families. This time around, I actually got to work with an Army family, and that wasn't as normal in Sumter, South Carolina, because we have the Air Force Base there. But there's the 3rd Army headquarters, and we have Fort Jackson right down the road. And a lot of times if you have a dual military couple, they might be at each base or both be at Shaw, depending on their jobs and what branch they're in. So anyhow, just like normal, this was a fast and furious race for our military folks. We got together in July and picked out a house lickety-split quick and closed on August 13th. They picked out a really cute 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,581 square foot house. Guess how much? I'll tell you in a minute. So while you're thinking about that, right, this is just one of those examples that once again, the market has changed so much. And my military friends, this is also another great example that if you have the capability to hold on to a property, do it, because it will appreciate and you are going to be building a beautiful little nest egg. So when we started talking about this property, we started with a video tour, and then they were able to come in for a weekend. We were able to see everything real quickly and basically made a very fast decision, got inspections underway, and got to the closing table fast. They came in just in time for closing and to be moving in. So that's a lot of times how it works out, or they're not even here. But this time I had the pleasure of them being with me at closing, which was beautiful. And the neighborhood they were in was Hunter's Crossing, which is like right in the nook of everything. It's literally like, maybe 7 minutes to Shaw, 5 minutes to all the shopping and restaurants. It is really a prime location. You can go either direction to the major throughways, 521 or 378, to get to the base, to get to different areas downtown or heading out towards Columbia. So it's a beautiful location. So anyhow, they were really pleased with their house. It was adorable, and we got them to the closing table. Now, I know you're wondering, what did they pay for it? So let's recoup again. We had a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,581 square feet. Right now, homes are going in like the 180s, so $180 per square foot, basically, give or take. That's probably like the starting range, as long as something's in a decent status, right? This house, they got it for $149,000, under $100 a square foot in 2018. Friends, that wasn't that long ago, but this just shows how quickly the market can change, okay? So if they would have held on to this property for longer than they did, or if they would keep it as a investment property for the future, my goodness, the options are endless. So I want to impress this upon you that if you are interested in learning how this could happen, how you could secure a property, and then whenever you move, set it up to be an investment and keep it until you decide to get out of the military, until you retire, keep it once you get out of the military to have a side source of income, whatever the case may be. If you want to have that conversation, please reach out to me because this is my bread and butter, and I love the idea of helping people create generational wealth through their properties, especially in a military setting. Sometimes it can be so scary to purchase a property because you know you're moving in 2 years and you don't know if you could sell it and get out from underneath of it or what that really looks like. And I'm always very fair and honest that if you cannot sell it and get out from underneath of it without owing anything at closing, then I really feel you should rent it out for a couple of years at a minimum, because it'll get you more equity, it's going to appreciate more, and you're going to be in a much better situation. Now, I know sometimes that's not ideal for everyone. Sometimes people just need to cut ties and go. Or if they have equity in the property, they need to pull that equity out to be able to get another property secured. Because not all areas are equal, friends. A lot of times we move to different areas and they cost a lot more. Right? When we moved to Tennessee, we spent almost 3 times the amount on our house as we did on our first property in South Carolina. But we bought January of 2021. We were like right at the cusp when everything was getting crazy. There was absolutely no properties on the market, hardly at all, to choose from. And it was just starting to get to that point where things were getting really high and kind of outrageous. But we secured a new construction property, and that worked for us because we were willing to wait for it to be finished. We were able to secure it and close on it at a reasonable price, which was beautiful. So there's always things to consider when you're purchasing or selling, but just keep this in mind. We made the decision, and I've talked about this before, and I'll continue to talk about it again. When we moved from Tennessee, we made a decision to keep that property because we can rent it out. And we might only make a couple $100 a month on it. We don't make a lot, but it's covering itself. And by holding it for at least another 3 years, we're probably going to build at least another $30,000 in equity. So that's going to provide us a great cushion for when we retire. We already have a little nest egg of equity in there. The house is going to continue to appreciate. We're going to continue to pay it down, right? So the idea is that in a handful of years, if we decide to sell it, then we may have almost a year's worth of salary up front to be able to purchase a property or to float us while we're getting settled somewhere, because life after the military can be very different, and we're probably going to experience that in the next couple of years. And we are trying to make sure we have our heads screwed on straight and prepare for that. So this is one of the things that we decided upon. It wasn't our initial choice. We actually thought we were going to sell before we moved. And then once we ran the numbers, we realized how silly that was. So this is my point. Like, even me as a real estate professional, sometimes we think we're making the right decisions because it's emotionally driven. And then we sit it down and put it on paper and go, wait, no, that's not the right decision. Look what we can accomplish if we just do this and this, right? Now, the trade-off was we have our house in Tennessee in a VA loan, and we wanted to use a VA loan here in North Carolina. So that meant that we had to kind of limit our amount that we could use because we had already used part of our VA eligibility status. So we just worked with our lender and said, hey, how far can we go? That's our budget, and we'll stick with it. So we made sure that we could get the second property underneath of our VA guidelines without having to bring additional money to closing for a down payment. And it worked out fine. And that's part of why we're in a little bit more of a fixer-upper here, as well as just really not wanting, our payment is still tremendously higher here than it was in Tennessee. And so we didn't really want to add too much more onto that because that's not fun, So anyhow, my point is when you guys are thinking about this stuff, I want you to know that I have been in your shoes. We have had these conversations in my household. I have had to figure this stuff out for my personal properties. And I am so excited